I just watched the Ghostbusters 2016 extended edition. Oh my goodness, this movie. Um, I saw this movie back in 2017 on DVD, but the red box disc that I had was scratched, so I missed the last 20 minutes. So I decided to give this movie a second chance with the extended edition. I don't know what the extended edition has added compared to the theatrical edition, but I can confidently say that the extended edition does not make this movie much better. I do not like this movie, and in fact, a lot of people do not like this movie, even though it has a 73% Rotten Tomatoes score, give or take, and a die-hard fan base that will call you all sorts of names if you do not like this movie. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan. Like, I enjoy Ghostbusters 1 and 2, but I didn't realize that there were, like, true die-hard Ghostbusters fans out there who collect all of the toys and memorabilia and, have fan clubs and stuff. So I am definitely not in that die-hard fan camp. I am just coming from the perspective of a normal person who simply likes the original movies. So for a basic rundown of the storyline, Kristen Wiig plays a professor trying to get tenure, and she is shocked to see that her former friend, played by Melissa McCarthy, just published a book on Amazon about the paranormal, which they co-wrote together but never published in the past. She's afraid that this book will make her look bad before the tenure committee, so she tries to find her former childhood friend and ask her to take the book off the internet. Melissa McCarthy is working at a university with Kate McKinnon to study the paranormal, and they get a call of a ghost sighting, and they investigate it, and they see their first ghost, and then, more stuff happens, and they bump into Leslie Jones, who also saw a ghost, and she ends up sticking around. And they come together to fight a bad guy who has been placing portal devices around New York City to try and open the gates of hell, basically, to destroy New York City and get revenge on the people that have made fun of him his whole life for being weird. Now, I knew this movie and I were not going to get along in the very first 5 minutes of the film. What really did it for me was in the opening scene, Gabe from The Office is giving a tour of a spooky old mansion, which is a New York City landmark. Gabe is describing some of the memorabilia contained in this mansion to the tour group, and he points to a grandfather clock and says something like, "This grandfather clock was rescued from the Titanic. Unfortunately, they had to kick a woman and a child out of the lifeboat in order to get it here." Now, this is supposed to be a joke, but he says this with a straight face, unironically, and the tourists act as if this is just some sort of normal, interesting little factoid. First of all, normal people would not say that, and normal people would not react that way when someone has said that. He then begins talking about some of the people the original owner of the mansion used to entertain, and he says, "Now, this is the room where P.T. Barnum got the idea to enslave elephants." Again, when he says this, he's not saying it sarcastically, designed to, get a laugh from the tourists. He says this with a straight face, and the tourists nod in agreement as if what he said is just something that normal people would say. This scene made it clear that this movie is not operating in the real world. That's my biggest problem with Ghostbusters 2016. This movie takes place in some sort of clown world, where all the real human beings have been abducted and replaced by clown aliens who are trying to act human, but they just can't get it right. Every single character in this movie is extremely exaggerated, and they are all trying to draw attention to themselves for laughs. The first two Ghostbusters movies worked so well because it felt like they took place in the real world. For example, in the first movie, the dean from the university acts like a real dean from a university when he shuts down the Ghostbusters Paranormal Investigation Division. The college dean in the Ghostbusters 2016 movie, however, who shuts down McCarthy's and McKinnon's division, decides to send them off by giving them a 20-second tirade of flipping them the bird in a whole bunch of different creative ways. He blows on his thumb and pretends that he's inflating a finger. He pretends like he is turning up the volume on speakers. And it just doesn't make any sense because no normal human being would act that way. Later in the movie, this same college dean is being interviewed by the media who are trying to learn about these new female Ghostbusters that have popped up. And the dean, in the middle of the interview, decides to pull out his acoustic guitar and pedal his new demo tape. I mean, in what world would this happen? It wouldn't, and it's not funny. It's just not funny to see that. Another example, in the first Ghostbusters movie, the mayor of New York City acted like a real mayor. He is hesitant to help the Ghostbusters, but they appeal to his political ambitions and convince him he's going to win re-election if he stops this paranormal catastrophe. In the 2016 movie, however, the mayor's secretary has to explain to the mayor that the magician that they just saw at a magic show did not in fact really saw a woman in half, even though the mayor claims that he clearly saw this woman get cut in half right before his eyes. So yeah, all of the characters in this movie are just over the top and kind of annoying. Kate McKinnon's character, named Holtzman, is easily the least likable character in this movie, which is a shame because I really like Kate McKinnon. She's really funny on Saturday Night Live, and she does great female celebrity impressions. Her character in this movie does not act like a human being at all, and it's just really frustrating to watch. She's supposed to be the Egon of the group, but Egon felt like a real person. I'm sure most of us know somebody who is very much like Egon, who isn't good with people, but he's really smart, and he doesn't understand boundaries or humor. Holtzman is just some sort of weird creature that has a silly smile on her face throughout the entire movie and will randomly break out into dancing with blowtorches, or suddenly scream at the top of her lungs when someone gets too close to one of her new ghost-busting gadgets. It's just so weird. One of the main reasons why I don't think Ghostbusters 2016 is very funny is because this movie is full of a certain type of humor that has been really popular over the past several years, but which really rubs me the wrong way. It's that awkward humor where a person is acting really awkward and they can't shut up and they just keep talking while everyone stares in confusion. You know, it's like, for example, when Kristen Wiig gets fired from her professorship, she's walking through the halls and, instead of acting like a normal human being and putting her head down and trying to get through the halls as quickly as possible, she has to talk to every single person she passes in the hall and give some really awkward excuse as to why she is carrying all of her stuff in a box. She'll be like, "Oh, I'm not fired. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out here. Oh, this box is so heavy. Oh, it's really working out my triceps. And I'm just taking my plant out for fresh air. It's really good for plants to take them outside." And she just goes on and on, making all these really lame excuses. And it's supposed to be funny, but it's just not. Another example is where two characters will be in a really serious situation, and then one of them will say something random, and then they get into this whole little argument or conversation with each other while everyone around them just kind of stares in confusion. For example, Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy are having a conversation with the mayor and his secretary, and they're asking them to keep the whole ghost situation quiet so that there isn't a panic in the city. And then Kristen Wiig says, "Yeah, but the cat's already out of the bag." And then Melissa McCarthy says, "Yeah, but I think what they're trying to say is we need to put the cat back in the bag." And then Kristen Wiig will be like, "Yeah, but once the cat's out of the bag, then you can't put the cat back in the bag because then it wouldn't make sense to say the cat is out of the bag." And then she's like, "Well, it's actually very possible to put the cat back in the bag because even if you put it back in the bag," they just have this whole conversation while the mayor and the secretary are staring in confusion. And again, it's trying to be funny, but oh my gosh, I think this type of humor is just so irritating, and unfortunately this movie is saturated with it, and this type of humor is pervasive throughout so many so-called comedy films today. So yeah, out of the 3 Ghostbusters movies I have seen, Ghostbusters 2016 is easily my least favorite. Now, I've heard some people say, well, at least it's better than Ghostbusters 2. Are you kidding me? Ghostbusters 2... I'm going to be doing a review of Ghostbusters 2 here soon, but I think Ghostbusters 2 is a fantastic film. The biggest complaint against it is that it's a rehash, and that's fine. Who wants to see the same movie played twice? But, I mean, Ghostbusters 2 is funny, it's creepy. I love that movie. So, no, this movie does not hold a candle to either of the originals. I would not recommend it. Definitely don't pay money for it, but... yeah, again, I just think this movie was a big misfire. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you next time.